Alec, welcome.
Hank.
It's time.
Yes.
It's time. This is a new thing for us, but I think it might be a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
If it turns out well, we might do it more in the future. But we're
We'll
gonna do a
see.
top 10 for 2022, and not. I was kind of inspired because I was listening to Otaku Brothers, the podcast. That's a gaming podcast, so they did top 10 video games. But since
Hmm.
we cover a lot of different things, I thought it might be cool if we did a top 10 movies, TV, video games, anything. It could be 10 video games if they were just all better than everything else, but
I don't know if I play. I think I probably did play 10 video games in
yeah, I didn't.
2022, but like I don't. It would just be
Or
like just around 10,
yeah, I might have just played 10, yeah.
maybe around 10. I mean, I'm not a beast like Rusty. I don't come in here playing like I played. I beat 45 games. I get
Yeah.
14 platinum trophies or whatever, and it's just like, man, I wish I had that enthusiasm. I
So
do. I mean, I do. I'm working on Kingdom Hearts trophies right now. That's some enthusiasm. But
so I think this will be a
um,
more interesting, more challenging list for us, having to
yeah,
mix it all together,
yeah,
having to compare the different things. It'll be interesting if our lists have any overlap, if there'll be anything that we reviewed on Tarqaron.
I
Uh,
think
so it'll be
my
interesting to see.
suspicion is that I know. I think I know one thing that will have some overlap. Probably is going to show up on both our lists
Hmm.
if I had to take a guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not
I
totally
would
sure.
take the guess too. I would take that
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Um,
Where
but yeah,
though is the real
but
question.
where?
So
So I guess we'll go down 10-1.
all right.
We'll alternate. Um, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll try not to dwell too much because it'll be a lot to get through, but see how it goes. And
Hmm.
I should say that these are not things that came out in 2022 necessarily. It's just anything that we experienced in 2022.
Hmm.
And
That's
primarily
correct.
for the first time, like no like rewatching things. Otherwise, Alec would have Elf in his top five every year. It would just be there.
Probably. It's one I love that movie. I really do. It's one of my favorites.
Hmm. So this
But
is highlighting generally new experiences. I
correct.
guess the only exception would be if like you came back to a game you played a few years ago to like finish it and
Yeah.
actually put a lot of time into it, stuff like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know what to expect. We didn't talk about it at all, so I don't know what to expect from
No.
your list.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm definitely very curious. You want me to start or you start?
Sure,
Who wants to start?
sure. You start.
Okay. Well, my number 10
Number 10.
on this list is The Legend of Vox Machina, which
Oh,
is a Critical Role series that they funded. I helped kickstart.
you were there
I
at the
was
ground
definitely
floor.
I was there at the ground
You were
floor.
instrumental.
I was one of the supporters of the Kickstarter, and I was extremely happy to hear that we helped fund a season, and we helped fund, and then Amazon picked up a second season, and then as far as I'm aware, there may be a third season as well. So, um, I can only hope the second season is quickly upon us. I think it's coming out later this month, so is when the first episode's going to air. So, um, I'm I started listening to the in the lead up to when the series came out, which I think it came out in March. I may be wrong. I may be remembering this wrong, but I think it came out in March last year in 2022, and there was a period of time I was working on. Funnily enough, I was working on Kingdom Hearts trophies for PlayStation, and while I was working on the grind for Reaching of Memories, which is not very fun, I was making my way through Critical Role episodes just so I could get up to the point that I knew that the story arc was basically done, where the episode cuts off on.
Mm.
Eventually able to do that, watch through the series. It was an absolute delight. A lot of fun. Very. The pacing of the first couple of episodes is a little wonky, and that's because they're really summing up stuff that didn't even happen in the game that we hear. That like it's all stuff that happened before they started recording, in terms of the story. But in terms of adaptation, really great to pare down like dozens and dozens and dozens of hours of gameplay and storytelling into a nice short 8 to 10 episode. I don't actually remember how many episodes. I think there's 10 episodes season. Yeah, I mean, I loved it. It was a lot of fun. It was very funny. It was very them. It feels very Critical Role, which I'm a big fan. So it was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it a lot. So looking forward to the next season for sure.
Very nice. Yeah, no stranger. It's not news that you're a big Critical Role fan.
I do quite love. I actually have here what you may have seen me wear it on some episodes. This is what I got. One of the things that I got.
You're
in the
part of the
Kickstarter.
crew.
I'm part of the crew, part of the ship. So
So now
yeah.
when you talk about the show, it's like our show. Our show is doing great.
Our show, yeah. I mean, I did help crowdfund it, so
All right, so my number 10 is Uncharted Drake's Fortune on the PS.
oh, cool.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
So I played this through the Gentry Challenge. I did get to talk about it quite a bit on there. If you want more of my thoughts, you can go there. It's not like I would expect Uncharted 2. I've heard great things about it. It'll probably be much higher on my list. It's just not quite there with the polish. But what I do like the gameplay mechanics, and the whole overall style is still really cool to me. The presentation of it all. So I'm excited to play more in the series, and I wanted to at least have it. It was on the cusp, and I just barely made my top 10 here. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I had a few that didn't quite make the cut either. But you gotta pare it down. You pare it down 10 lists. So yeah, maybe I'll join you someday. I'll finally play Uncharted
I mean,
someday.
gotta be
this
sometimes it
year.
takes a random draw to make
Sometimes
you play it. So
That's true. That's very true. All right. Well, my number 9, little bit of a interesting track, or still on a series, but this was something that really surprised me this year, because one of my best friends, Wesley's wife, Alora, is a massive fan of a few things, like anime related things. So much so that when I went down to visit them in October, we stayed up till probably like 3 o'clock in the morning, marathoning most of the first season of the Case Study of Vanitas, which is my number 9. It's like a vampire sort of story where it's I can't even like, I don't want to get into too many details, but let's just say like it does an extremely good job of being a fun, somewhat wholesome buddy story of two friends. There's also like a lot of the like sensual stuff with related to vampires is like they do an extremely good and tasteful job of exploring that angle, where it's not just like where there's like definitely like tons of sexual tension when it comes to vampire interaction. They do a really good job of it. It doesn't feel like overly fan servicey. It feels very like, I may be mistaken, but I think the series was written by a woman, because it's a manga, and it does definitely have it feels like it has more of a woman's perspective in terms of like that sort of thing. I really fell in love with the character dynamics, just all of the stuff going on between the main characters and everything. I'm very mad because there's very few anime figures related to this series. Apparently, season 2 was a little bit of a letdown from what I understand, but I only saw season 1. I loved it. Call me a fan. I'm probably gonna watch season 2. I don't know when, but I look forward to it anyways, because it was just really good anime series. So I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Interesting.
So
Never even heard of it until now.
Yeah, well, you heard it here.
That's the thing with us. We used to do like our monthly series talking about our favorite things we played or watched that month.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that, so there's a lot of these wild cards that are gonna come out of left field here.
It might be.
Number 9 for me is Rhythm Heaven on the DS. Okay.
I think you mentioned this to me.
Yeah, I mentioned at some point that I was
Yeah,
playing it. Rhythm
yeah,
Heaven Fever on the Wii is one that's near and dear to my heart. It's very
yeah.
good. I still think it's better than the DS version. It would probably be much higher on this list if it was that one. Um, the DS, the only problems I have with it are that some of the like touchscreen stuff doesn't always work the way you want it to, uh, and some of the games are really frustrating. So it was really challenging to get through some of it, but overall I pushed through, and overall I love Rhythm Heaven. I love rhythm games. I already
Mm.
started this year off playing another rhythm game, so I don't know.
Sweet.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really liked Rhythm Heaven. I played that in college. I love that game. Yeah, very fun. I like rhythm games too. There's a rhythm game that just didn't quite make my list that I still play that I got last year. I played a lot on my Switch, and it's really really good, but doesn't
Hmm.
make my list. So you're gonna have to hear about it somewhere else. I'll tell you off camera. Um,
Well,
so
I
cool.
started playing a rhythm game on the Switch this year. And then it was the first game I beat already this year.
Ooh, very nice. I know what that is. I'm not gonna say though. Well, number 8 for me was, to my utter delight, Marvel Snap.
Marvel
Uh,
Snap.
yeah, this is a game that came out earlier this year, and I think I started playing it in October, and I got every friend that I knew that was into Marvel into this game
Hmm.
because not only is it chock full of references so obscure, I'm like, I've been able to stump like Marvel Comics like fans with like, these are characters in this, and they're like, I don't know who that is. There's some pretty deep cuts in
Hmm.
terms of the representation for the characters on the cards, but it's a very simple game. There's 3 zones. It's made by ex Hearthstone developers. So if you ever played Hearthstone, um, they tried to rectify and learn from some of the things that didn't quite work with that game, or the things that they felt didn't quite work with that game. Um, and One of the things that I think is to its benefit, from what I understand of Hearthstone, games can sometimes in that last upwards of 20 to 30 minutes. Marvel Snap games will literally never last longer than 6 minutes, and most games are a lot shorter than that. Most games I would say are between 3 to 5 minutes. Um, so it's really quick, really easy to learn, really easy to pick up and figure out. And there's a lot of interesting strategies and things you can do. There's just so much replayability with it, and um, monetization is the game is completely free. The monetization is a little wonky in terms of like, they offer like card variants, and the prices on them are like so weird, like wildly expensive on some of them, and I don't really understand that. But you can literally play this game for free and not feel pressured to pay money. I've never felt pressured to pay in this game. I feel like they do a really good job of making it feel like you're getting your time out of it, at least in the stage of the game that I'm in right now. That might change later on, but loved it. One of my favorite games that came out last year for sure.
Nice. Well, my number 8 is a pretty quick game to get through, and it's a very snappy game. And it's WarioWare Get It Together on the Switch.
Ooh, nice.
I played this with my girlfriend the whole way through. I mean, it's very short to get all the way through. There's a lot more replay value that you can get out of it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they really did the WarioWare is known for its micro games,
Mm-hmm.
super fast, do this thing really quick, move on to the next one. It gets quicker. I only wish that some of the things would go on longer. I feel like they were a little cut short a little bit. Like you only go so many rounds in and then it's done. But they did a really creative thing with this that they haven't really done in previous games, where it's like you can use different characters on every micro game. There's a ton of different characters that you can
Oh,
use as choices, and
cool.
like
Are they old like WarioWare characters?
yeah, they're all WarioWare
I,
characters. Yep.
yeah. I've never really played. I will be first one to admit. I think my most experience I have with a WarioWare game is from a kiosk at Walmart back in like 2003,
Mm-hmm.
2002, whenever that game was coming out. I stood there and played that for like 20 minutes like every time I was in a Walmart because I thought it was so much fun, and I loved all the
Mm.
little characters and stuff. So I'm glad to hear that. I like what 9 Volt and Mona
Right.
Pizza.
9 Volt is the little kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's great because in every WarioWare game he has like the Nintendo classic like Nintendo games
Yeah,
compilation.
well, that's
So
why I liked him a lot. Yeah,
which like he'll have classic games and he had like Breath of the Wild as a quick thing, even like modern games mixed in.
that's fun.
Um, but yeah, the different characters all have different like things they can do or different controls. Like one will just jump, one shoots horizontally, one like shoots down vertically. Like they all have different things. Somehow all can work with each micro game in different ways, which is a
Mm,
lot of fun. Makes it a lot more
cool.
diverse. And yeah, it's definitely fun to play with someone else too.
Yeah,
Mm.
I'll have to look into that game. I don't. It sounds sad. I don't really have too many people to play with, but
Well,
I don't know. I'll have to look into that. That does sound. That does sound. I'm intrigued. That sounds kind of fun. So okay, my number 7 is another game that came out this year. It's technically an expansion of a game that already exists. Those of you who don't know, I'm a very big Destiny fan. I started playing that game 3 or 4 years ago. I put it down for like almost over a full year, and then I've been playing it I've been playing it seasonally for the last like 2 years, basically. And the Witch Queen was the newest Destiny expansion that came out this year. Just probably one of the best base like amounts of content that they've ever had in an expansion. I still haven't done all this stuff in just the basics in the base part of the expansion because I've worked on seasonal content as time has gone on. Took a break last season. I've gotten a little bit back into it again this season in the prep for Lightfall, which comes out in February. But as a whole, Witch Queen was an amazing expansion. The story was phenomenal. It was just the single player. They did really great stuff with making the game so you can do it just by yourself or a fire team of up to 2 other people. Um, but they implemented a new like kind of difficulty for the first time in like a single player mode, or like not like single player mode, but in terms of like the story content, they actually had like a harder mode, and it was legitimately challenging, and it was extremely satisfying to play through a game developed by Bungie that felt like it kind of felt like harkening a little bit back to the Halo days of tuning difficulty to a point that makes it fun, sometimes frustrating, but ultimately fair and ultimately very satisfying to beat and to say that you beat it. So, love Witch Queen, amazing story, amazing expansion. Seasons have been a little up and down for me, but that happens every year with seasonal content and in these sort of lifestyle games. But overall, loved my time with this game, and I look very much forward to Lightfall come February. So
and so then it'll be in your top 10 next year.
it probably will be. It probably will be. Honestly,
These
if they can
ongoing
keep
games can keep getting in there.
well, if they can keep pumping out good stuff, I'll keep coming back for more. Overwatch 2 didn't make it on my list this year. I'll tell you that. Despite
Best
the fact that I
ongoing
did
game.
despite the fact that I did enjoy my time with it, the monetization of that game is probably some of the most disgusting that I've ever seen. So yeah, that doesn't make my list. So Destiny 2, way better ongoing game.
All right. All right. Number 7 for me is It, the
Oh,
Pennywise film. Right?
oh, a penny is that the
A
subtitle?
Pennywise
It
film. A
a Pennywise
Pennywise
film.
story. Yeah, I finally get to watch it for the first time. Um, and I think it's great. I think it's really solid. A lot of really genuinely creepy stuff, and I think it's really effective. It's It Chapter 2 is significantly worse in my eyes. They try to recapture some of the stuff from the original, but I think they just got lightning in a bottle with the original. It's at 2017, I think.
Yeah, I think it's the 2017 or 2018 remake. I think, yeah. Um,
It's it's just solid, solid.
well,
Right.
most people I know seem to say that the second half of the story isn't as good anyway.
Hmm.
Um, even in the original Stephen King book. So, but
Yeah, if it's the same as the movie, then I would agree. I don't
I
know
I
if
don't
it's
really
the
know.
same.
I know basically all I know about is Pennywise and Stranger Things kid was in it. That's all I know.
He was in it.
But
He's very
yeah,
vulgar. Yeah, but
yeah.
definitely
But
worth checking out. Be cool to review that at some point. A lot of these things always say that be cool to review, but
yeah, would be. I think speaking of Stranger Things, I will say that that did just miss my list. I will say that
oh, and
Stranger Things
I
season four.
didn't watch it. I still haven't watched
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it just missed my list. It was very very highly regarded
Hmm.
for me. But number six for me, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh.
I loved this movie. I found that this movie had an extremely polarizing reaction. So people thought it was like awful and some of the worst stuff they've ever seen, which I don't really understand. And then there's me, who was just delighted the entire movie.
Hmm.
It felt like a throwback to the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films in terms of its tone and just Sam Raimi's body of work in general, with like the Evil Dead and some of the more weird or unusual things. Some of the maybe melodrama, some of the cheesiness, I guess you could say. There's definitely some cheesiness in the movie, particularly towards the end. But that to me was just a hallmark of it felt like a Sam Raimi movie, and that's really nice that Marvel is kind of letting their directors have a little bit more of a voice. I think ever since James Gunn with Guardians of the Galaxy, they've sort of been letting the directors have a little bit more
Hmm.
of a vision and a voice in the movies that they're making, and appreciate that very much, especially in this movie. I really loved it. It ties very heavily into WandaVision, which I would say if you had not uh, maybe not ties heavily into, but you basically need to have seen that in order to really like get what's going on. I guess is all I'll say to that. But so for those of you that have never seen that, you're probably going to be a complete loss at some of the stuff that's going on in the movie.
Hmm.
But it was really great. I really liked it a lot. I think she shows up at like the literally beginning of the movie, so it's not much of a spoiler. But America Chavez is awesome. I love her, and
Oh. Oh.
great character. So
Um. She was in Marvel Rising, right?
yeah, that terrible movie that we watched earlier
That's why I know
in
it from.
2022. Yeah,
I'm way behind on my Marvel game. I didn't watch like
yeah.
anything Marvel this year. I've
No,
heard a lot of criticism of this phase of the MCU, but
this phase has been a little mid. Yeah, not gonna lie, but
I can't
this
say.
is definitely a highlight for me
Hmm.
for sure.
Nice. All right. Well, number 6 for me is Little Nightmares on the
Ooh,
PS4.
I've
All
heard
right.
very good stuff about this.
Indie game.
Yeah.
Really cool. You'll notice I had a lot of like horror love this year in that kind of genre. Um, this one is unrelated though because I just happened to get it for the Indie Gents Challenge. But still, it was a surprise. It was a delight. It's a pretty short game, but stylistically, I think it's really cool. There's some Ghibli elements towards the end. There's some really creepy stuff going on. Like as you go, as it develops, it's really cool how that unfolds. This is one I
Hmm.
definitely think we should review at some point. Maybe for like an October or something would be cool. Because I think you would really like it.
Yeah.
But it's
Well,
cool.
everything you've said right now is like that's piquing my interest for
Yeah,
sure. So
yeah, and it's really effective in how it sets the tone and how everything progresses. It's really cool.
very
Yeah.
nice. My number five. Um, you might be surprised it's here on my list. I don't know. Maybe not. Beats me. Number five is Midnight Club.
Midnight Club.
Yeah.
Nice.
Um, and we reviewed it on the channel. We talked at length about it. It's very unfortunate that we're not going to be beginning a season 2, but as we've kind of both said before, it does still, despite the fact that it does sort of tease future a little bit, it does in and of itself feel as it's a complete enough product that it really does feel like a complete whole, as a story, so, or as a series of stories with a meta narrative. And I think it was really good. I really enjoyed my time with it. Definitely check out our review of that. So
yeah, really, really solid. I mean,
yeah,
there's so much I love about that show. Mike Flanagan always does it for us. He hasn't
yeah, it
failed
really
us
does.
yet. I mean, it's like,
No, not at all.
it's like the worst one that we've said. It's just like, oh, it's not as great as the other things. You know?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
But it's
just
still
like,
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. My
Yeah.
number 5 is Halloween. John Carpenter's Halloween, 1978.
The OG. I love this movie. I love this movie.
This was the biggest undertaking this year. Me and my girlfriend watched every single Halloween movie.
I've not done that. I've only ever seen the first one.
Yeah, Halloween 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, H2O, Halloween Resurrection, Halloween 2, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends.
Oh my gosh, what an undertaking.
It was such an undertaking.
It's a roller
Here's
coaster
the thing
ride.
with this one. I thought I had seen it before, and I might have, but it was like so long ago. I don't think it's fair to take it off, because otherwise I would be like Halloween 2 would probably be just in the same spot probably, because I think they're very comparable for me.
They are. Yeah.
I love both of them.
I've not seen Halloween 2. I have heard people. I mean, I love John Carpenter, and I love the first Halloween. So I've heard people talk about these at length. So because I'm very interested in horror, just have never gotten around to watching any of these movies.
And this one is the one I will definitely push that we should review all these, because it would be such a fun. Because I'm so passionate about certain movies in here and what I think about them. But for me, the top is Halloween, Halloween 2, and H2O. Those are my favorites. And then I see 4, 3 is actually better than people give it credit for.
I was gonna say, what do you think of 3? Because I've heard people love the right people, the people whose opinion that I appreciate a lot, love 3.
Yeah, I do really like 3.
So
it is cool. It's like Twilight Zone, in style. And then I put like 4, 5, 6 are all like kind of mid, and then the Rob Zombie ones we're going downhill. We're on the bottom tier here, and then I would put like the 2018 Halloween a little bit above those. This is pretty good, and then the last 2, not so good. Especially the Halloween Ends. Was awful. It was so awful.
It's interesting. I'm the most curious about that movie, because I've heard and nobody say good things about it except for Red Letter Media, who really, really like that movie.
Oh, hell.
Which is interesting, because they hated Kills. Kills was terrible. Evil Dies Tonight.
Kills was rough, but I feel like
Evil Dies Tonight. Well, it's not. We shouldn't. We don't need to get so much into it.
Too, but I would love to do that series.
We need to. I would love to. I would love to do that, because I want to see. I want to see how I feel about it.
It's a big undertaking. What's that? 11 movies, something like that. It's
a lot.
But it needs to be represented here.
Well, I'm glad that it was. Well, on this sort of train of horror related things, my number 4 is the Resident Evil 2 remake.
Oh.
Yes, it's this and not Until Dawn. Shockingly, that didn't make my list. But Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 2 remake. Despite that, I love that game. Don't get me wrong. The Resident Evil 2 remake is such a amazing, detailed, fantastic, creepy, scary. What a fantastic game. I can barely even express how good of a game it is. I'm still kind of in the process of playing my way through it. I would say I've beaten one campaign, but once you do that, then you unlock like the second run, just sort of like you play as the other character, and it's a little bit different. The story beats are different, and the places things are hidden and all that sort of stuff. It's kind of like a almost like a second quest kind of Zelda from what I understand. So I'm still making my way through that, and then you can actually then play it as in the reverse order. So you can play as Claire and then Leon. I've done Leon, and now I'm playing as Claire, and that's different too. So wonderful game. I mean, just I can't say enough good things about it. I've just been having the time of my life playing that game, and
Nice.
yeah, it's great.
I still have very minimal experience with Resident Evil 2.
Mm.
Resident Evil 2 and
And
Resident Evil in
Resident Evil is
general.
it's a franchise, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm making my way through that series.
Yeah.
I'd like to play the original Resident Evil 2 at some point, just because I love the remake so much. So someday I'll track that down and add that to my PS1 collection. But
Okay, and
someday.
also meant to mention this in the beginning that I did disqualify any Survivor and reality TV. I just
That's
kind of kept it off
that's fair. That's fair.
because I mean it's silly. I wouldn't be able to talk about it in detail. I
Yeah,
wouldn't have talked about it in detail anyway, but it's silly. But I feel like I shouldn't mention it so it doesn't have some impact on how you view the seasons or whatever.
that's that's totally fair.
But
Totally fair.
but that's very like Survivor in general. I love Survivor. Probably make the list pretty often most years. It would be
Mm,
cool if it ever showed up on your list, though. I wouldn't expect the last season of Survivor to do that, but if
mm.
like we did this year of Pearl Islands, I would have expected to see that
Oh yeah,
in the top
Carolinas
10.
would have been on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For number
By the way,
four, yeah.
before you do your number four, I started watching. Started getting my parents into Survivor,
Hmm.
and they kept watching it without me.
Those sons of
I call
bitches.
I call I call I call I called my mom this morning. Not this morning. I called my mom on the weekend, and she was like, "Oh, are you using your Paramount Plus account because we can't get it to work? We're on the last episode." And I was like, "You're watching it without me." She's
That's
like, "Yeah, you've
cruel.
already watched it." And I was like, but I want to watch it again with you.
That's cruel.
So I thought that was really funny that they're getting really into it. So
They're gonna pass you.
anyway, they are.
You gotta
They
be
might.
careful.
Yeah.
Um, okay, number four for me is the Midnight Club. Okay.
Very nice. Okay.
I love
Yeah.
this series, or one season, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. It was a lot. I thought it was great. It was a lot of fun going through the different stories. You can watch a review on that for sure. I had nothing but good things to say about it, pretty much. And Mike Flanagan series in general, they're all like series that stick with me. I feel like The Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, Midnight Mass, and now this. They're like all like
Yeah.
stellar, like ones I'll remember for years, and
For
ones that
sure.
I
Yeah.
love. I want to expose more people to for sure. So definitely high marks
Definitely.
for that.
Definitely. Yeah. All right. Well, my number three.
Number
Um, number three, and this is my game of the year this year.
three, Game of the Year,
Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Kirby and the Forgotten
Um,
Land.
this game was so good. I played it this summer, and joyfully, delightfully, had a blast. 100%ing this game. Just a
Yeah,
great
you
game from
100% it
beginning to
too.
end. Yeah, oh yeah,
Oh
oh
yeah.
absolutely. I had to. You have to. It's so fun. You just want to. Honestly, I just wanted to keep playing. I wanted there to be even more after I was done. It was just
That was a
so.
pretty good challenge at the end too, to finish
Yeah,
it
it
out.
was it was legitimately like some nice tough challenges towards the end, and I just had such a wonderful time with this game. It's just honestly couldn't help but smile. The story was like surprisingly really wholesome and sweet. And yeah, I just had a wonderful time with this game. Music really stood out. It was a great soundtrack. Just the world design in general was really cool and very fun.
Hmm.
Mouthful mode, as horrifying as it is, was also like surprisingly really cute and
Yeah.
fun. And yeah, I had a great time. And man, I like that's a game that I wish I could almost just play it again without remember. Like it was just so much fun. I just had so much fun with it. So I'll have to like start up a new file of that someday and just do that. I've done that with a few Kirby games, 100%ed it multiple times, just because of how fun they are. So
It is
kudos to them
truly
on that.
great. It's one of those it like I always saw Kirby games as like mid to me. I
Mhm.
never really cared too much for them. I was never like eagerly awaiting the next Kirby game, but now this one has like
Mhm.
completely changed my perception. I'm like a hardcore Kirby fan.
Yeah, I know.
I'm all here for it.
Yeah.
I hope we get more just like it. I got a Kirby amiibo hanging right here.
All right.
It's like
So from what I understand, there's elements that they wanted to use in the prototype for Return to Dreamland, the game that came out on the Wii,
mhm.
because that was originally, I think, being developed for the GameCube, and but there was the technology wasn't there, and they just didn't have time to develop what they wanted for it, and like elements of that they held on to for that long. They held on for over 10 years to release
Mhm.
in this game. I think that's awesome that
Yeah.
when developers can do stuff like that. So
Yeah, I
like they did
mean,
that with Metroid Dread last in 2021 too. They it was an idea they had in like 2005 or something.
true.
So
Yeah, what they did with the power-ups and everything in this Kirby game, it's
oh
really cool.
so cool. Oh so cool. I love changing like tooling around with the power ups and stuff. So much fun.
Yeah.
I love that.
And
Yeah.
see, I loved Kirby's Epic Yarn. I love Kirby Air Ride, but this is like
Mhm.
another level for me. It's like
Yeah.
it's up there. My number
Mhm.
3 is The Walking Dead season 11. It's The Walking Dead series finale.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay.
they really
Cool.
did an excellent. It was an excellent finish. It's like as good of a finish as you can hope for a series with such a legacy. And I talked about this with Rusty on Otaku Brothers a little bit. How it's like a lot of people jumped off the Walking Dead train. Most people around like season 6, season 7, which is understandable. But there's like really a lot of payoff for the people that stuck around. It's like they really upped their game, especially once they got into season 9 up until now. It's like been excellent. And it's like they breathed new life into the series and gave it a lot to appreciate. And I really think they wrapped things up really well. They've got some new like spin-off series coming, so it's not entirely over. But for Walking Dead, it's huge. It's been a part of my life. I've been watching it since season 2, basically live. Uh, I think I watched season 2 like on demand, and then from then I watched it live. So it's been years. It's been a part of my
Wow.
life. And I just
Yeah,
think they
back when like on demand was a big thing. I
exactly.
remember that in the early 2010s. So
And I think they just handled it so well. And
yeah.
I think it's definitely worth giving another shot if you stop watching it, or if you never jumped on board at all. It's definitely worth a watch.
I watched only part of season one. It's much like my experience with Game of Thrones. I only saw some of it. What I saw, I really liked. I really enjoyed, but it was kind of like one of those things where it was just so much of it, and it was just so daunting, and I couldn't like bring myself to get around to it. Yeah, I've heard similar things. I guess Rusty is kind of another frame of reference that I have for. It does kind of tend to lag in like the season 7, 8 sort of time frame is kind of what he's saying. It sort of fell off a big time for him, and it's kind
Yeah.
of a slog to get through. But he'd be very similar to you. He says there's all kinds of payoff, and that's cool. I think that's exciting. Maybe I'll give it a go at some point if I'm really jonesing for something to watch.
I mean, it's a
But
big undertaking, but it's one of those
it
series where
is.
it's like you just love the characters. You really grow to love the characters, unlike your regular run of the mill series. It's just something that sticks
Mhm.
with you, especially if you've been watching it for years. Probably has an effect too. It's like these characters you've seen them grow so much. Obviously, not all the same characters are there. If you look at season 1, season 11, they're like almost different shows at this point. But I just really like what they did with it. It's
That's
cool.
pretty cool. The fact that they did that. So
All right, what you got? Number 2.
okay, my number two, a little bit of a wild card here, but for the first time last year, I saw Evangelion 3.33. You Cannot Redo, which is the third Evangelion film.
Mm.
Um, for those of you who don't know, Neon Genesis Evangelion series came out in 1994, I believe. It was eventually finished in the end of Evangelion in 1997. Had massive influence on all of anime basically since. In 2007, the director was planning on basically remaking, or sort of, it was called the new theatrical edition. And so he was going to try to release one movie over the course of the next 4 years. So 2007, 2008, and then like a last part, two parts in 2009 and 10. That didn't happen. The first part came out in 2007. The second movie came out in 2009. The third movie came out in 2012, I think, if memory serves. The dub of that was retooled. I think there was a dub that premiered in at like Anime Expo that year. Studio Gainax, or rather Studio Kara, did not like the audience's reaction to it, and they didn't really like things about it. So like over a year until we got like an official Blu-ray release of that. And then only just in 2021 was the final movie part released. So it was like 8 years or something, 9 years before the last part came out. So these movies, despite the fact that they were sort of advertised as remakes or retellings, the first movie is basically just a more or less like a retooling of the first 6 or 7 episodes of Neon Genesis Evangelion. Second movie starts to take things in a very interesting, strange direction, especially at the end. This movie is completely new story material. It's extremely polarizing. Evangelion fans typically are either in the love it or hate it, or like, and by hate I mean seriously hate this movie. So I was very concerned, but I ended up loving this movie. It was absolutely a delight. The animation is amazing. The story is extremely satisfying. It's very depressing. It's Evangelion. Get used to it. But it was such a treat, such a delight. I'm really interested and excited in finally seeing the last part, which actually I think I'm going to be seeing this weekend with my friends. So yeah, but the third movie was really great. It really explores a completely new sort of frontier in terms of the typical story of Evangelion, and it does a really good job with it. I loved it. I really loved it. So yeah, extreme high marks for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, number 2 for me is Bug Fables.
Yeah.
Bug Fables. I love this game. What a treat. What a treat it was as a hardcore Paper Mario fan. OG Paper Mario. It literally was shameless about all the things it just blatantly did, that almost note for note the same way. But they also added this whole bug aesthetic, which actually worked really well and then made it really charming. Minor gripes with like little things with the puzzles and how they're controlled and whatnot, but overall I loved the experience. It was like rarely these days, so I just like sit down and I stick to a game without getting distracted and just dedicated. I put in like 50 hours with this game.
Wow.
Went through it, loved every second of it. It's as a Paper Mario fan, it captures exactly what Nintendo should have been capturing with Paper Mario ever since the first 2. It's just got that special something. It's got all the things, the fun combat system, fun characters, fun dialogue. That's all really makes the world come alive. And they actually do really well making this whole bug infrastructure and like lore behind it even interesting. It's a lot of fun. I would highly recommend it if you're a Paper Mario fan. If you're not a Paper Mario fan, just play Paper Mario first and then play this, because it's just like you gotta see exactly just how much they're taking from it. I mean, it's just a big love letter to Paper Mario fans. So
yeah, it's interesting because I have that same is it the Everlasting Sap edition?
the Everlasting Sapling.
Sapling. I was like, what's the
That's
everlasting
just
sad?
the subtitle, but it was the
Oh,
collector's
that's the
edition,
subtitle.
the limited run.
That's the subtitle. Okay. Hopefully they'll make more bug fables maybe in the future. Have the
Yeah,
developers said anything about it?
I think they said that they would
Yeah.
be up for it. I don't know if they've
Yeah.
said concretely, but I'm sure
Yeah.
they're thinking about it.
Well, I have that collector's edition too because I was really excited. I have yet to play it. I will say one thing that I find very delightful as a Paper Mario fan. There's two channels that I really like right now that are in the middle of playing through the Thousand Year Door in particular. One is ProZD Plays Games, and so if you know ProZD on this platform, which if you don't, what is wrong with you? He's going through that right now. I haven't really watched. I watched him and Jay play through the original Paper Mario, but also Playframe is going through it as well, and that's the one that I've been prioritizing watching, and it's been fun, albeit sometimes frustrating when when he overthinks things a little bit, such as not remembering to use the hammer to do things.
Yeah.
But man, Paper Mario, man, what a wonderful series.
The first two are some of my
It's-
favorite games ever.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
Bug Peoples has really fun, really great music too.
I need to play it. I need to. It looks so wonderful and charming.
How do
So
I make you? We need to have like a
I'll make you.
we need to have like a switch we pull. It makes the other person have to play a game. It's great, and it's great.
We'll figure it
It's
out.
great to have on the Switch too. Honestly, like I actually really appreciate the handheld aspect of it. Just be able to lay back and play it too. It's really fun.
Very nice.
All right, number one, your number one
right.
thing of the year, your 2022 crown goes to
Chainsaw Man.
Chainsaw Man. Yeah,
Chainsaw Man was and is just pure everything that I love about anime.
I don't know anything about it. I just know people have been watching it in some
I mean,
channels.
it's absolutely insane. It's wild, it's sexy, it's
It's sexy.
extremely violent. Oh yeah, I mean it's anime, dude.
Oh.
You get the you get that the fan service elements. The animation is like practically film quality for most of the series, and this is a series. It's amazing visually. It's in terms of the story that's building up. I think like its only detriment is that it was only 12 episodes, and I just need more. I just need more of it. Pump it into my veins, and I refuse to read the manga to catch up. I don't unless I get too antsy. Maybe I won't say I refuse, but unless I get so antsy, I just want to see more of that. I want to see that show. I just want to see it, more of it.
Okay, yeah.
It was just extremely good. The only thing I just wish it was longer because I just want more of that world. I want to understand more of the world building and sort of like what's going on. There's
Wait, how
definitely
long was
some
it?
like 12 episodes.
Okay.
I've watched episodes in both dub and sub. Both are excellent. Yeah, I mean the opening song is the animation is chock full of movie references too. They like make references to like The Big Lebowski and
Wow.
Constantine, and there's like compilations of like all the references that are made in it. It's wild, totally wild. There's 12 different ending songs, so all the ending songs are different with unique animations in that. Those are all really good. The story is just kind of insane. It's sort of hard to even describe, but it is kind of a basic shonen kind of story. If you know anything about maybe Jujutsu Kaisen, if anybody watching this knows that show, there's a very similar structural similarity to that. But this is the author takes those sort of like the general idea of that, and he's turned a lot of it up on its head, especially towards the end. And very, very curious as to where it goes moving forward. But I hope I don't have to wait too long because I might just get too antsy and just read the manga. But
Nice.
boy, it was a very good show. So
I'll have to check that out too.
yeah, high recommendation.
All right. Well, my number one thing of 2022 is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. All right.
Hey, all right.
Go home, everybody.
Yeah, it was a great game though.
It's kind of a shame we didn't review it. You know, it's like it's so hard to get us to commit to playing a game together. We just both just happened to 100% this on our own and then not review it.
And then not review it. Yeah.
I
well, it's one of those things where we talked about it.
Yeah.
I think we wanted to do it at one point, but it was just like it just didn't really quite line up with anything that we had. It was just kind of like too weird. We're like, well, it's been too long since we played it now, and
we can still try to get it in there somewhere, but
yeah.
I feel like it's like might be a perfect 10 for me in terms of a game. I feel like I might even give it a 10. It's like really, it's really up there for me.
It was a delight. I mean, I can't think of too many things other than the mini game that required you to the tilting mini game. That's the only thing that like frustrated me to no end. And I did that in front of an audience. I was at my we rented a house for my friend Josh's for like the groom side of the wedding. So we rented a house down in the North Shore of Massachusetts, and it was one of the things that we did on the day of the wedding. We were just had to chill out because it was an evening wedding, so we were just chilling out. I was playing that to everyone in front of everyone, and people were like really like invested in me finally doing that stupid ball rolling puzzle that I finally did. So
and you can play this game co-op too, right?
You did the whole game, yeah.
I never got to experience that part of it.
I didn't either, actually.
So it'd be interesting. But so the thing with me though is that I don't feel like I've played maybe any other games that came out in 2022. So that's why I feel like I can never contribute to like game of the year discussions these days. I'm not good enough of a gamer to actually play these games that are up in contention. And so it's better for us to have this list that's like combining all these things that didn't necessarily come out this year.
Yeah, it's true. I think most of the releases that I played this year that was it. Like those were the games that I had on here that came out this year were the games that I played that came out this year. I think that's about it. I may have played like maybe one or two other games, but I don't even remember at this point.
Because I can say Kirby's my game of the year, but it doesn't really mean much. Yep. It's just like my one game I played of the year just happened to be amazing.
I mean, it was that's good, right? I guess that's a good thing.
I'm just constantly playing catch up, you know, like it could be like 5 years from now, Last of Us is my game of the year, you know?
Yeah.
It's just so it goes. So for us, our only Tarqaron representative is the Midnight Club, right?
Yeah.
For both of us.
Which is interesting. I knew that was going to be shared there. Mm-hmm. We did review and watch stuff that wasn't quite as good, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it was kind of like a weak year for in terms of things we reviewed. There's a lot of weak stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the hybrids, the Child of Kamiari month.
Yeah.
Puss in Boots just missed out a couple days short. If we just watched it like as soon as it came out, then it would have barely made the cut. That would have been maybe number one for me.
Probably, yeah, same.
So now it's sitting firmly at number one for 2023, just waiting for anything to challenge it. So I mean, hopefully next year. I mean, I guess the goal would be to have more Tarqaron things present in our top 10s, huh?
Yes, yeah. Well, we gotta up our game, man. You know, we gotta watch stuff that's.
We reviews. If we review things like Elf, you know, that's not going to be a part of the top 10 either. So we could review some good stuff that's just not eligible.
Right.
But
yeah.
So that's 2022. So my top 10 is Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Bug Fables, Walking Dead Season 11, The Midnight Club, Halloween, Little Nightmares, It, WarioWare Get It Together, Rhythm Heaven, and Uncharted Drake's Fortune.
Yep. You know, I can't believe I didn't include, but I just saw this hanging out
Shovel Knight.
And put Shovel Knight in there. Too bad, Shovel Knight. You just missed the list. was a great game. I think why I wasn't thinking about that game was because I hadn't beaten it, but I'd played almost the whole game at another point, so I wasn't thinking that as a completely fresh game. So
Look, I'm looking
great game.
to cross off some big things this year. I'm hoping to take on
Mm.
some big heavy hitters in terms of. I have a stack of games, like great games that I've been meaning to play for the longest time. All these game of the year contenders for multiple years. So we'll see if I can get to any of those. See if they really make it a challenging top 10. I have a lot of series and movies to get to.
I'll say Rusty's top 10 of the year. That video that got me like really in the mood to play some games
Yeah,
of a certain series that I'm not going to say because I
that's
do
true.
not want to spoil his list. But that they've got me in the mood to really get into that series finally.
Mhm.
So, but I'll keep that a secret. But Uncharted is another one as well. That's one that I gotta
Yeah.
finally play. I saw the Uncharted movie this year,
Hmm.
which was fine. I really liked it. It was fun.
Oh, and the other thing,
Uh,
the only other thing that could have been in contention from Tarqaron, I think, is the Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, that was kind of really the only other thing, and that because that was probably one of the best video game movies ever made. If you're not counting, if you don't count like Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
We'll see what happens with this Mario movie. Could it
This
do
is
it?
the thing. This could be another moment in time. It might be. It might not be.
We
It
were
might.
here.
We're here.
We were
We were
here
here.
for it.
We were here. We were here when it happened. But man, I'm there opening night, man. I'll tell you.
So we'll see if that cracks our top 10 next year.
We will. We will have to see. We will have to see.
Can anyone overthrow Puss? That's the question.
It is the question.
Does anything trump
Yeah.
Puss at the end of the day? That's the question we must all ask ourselves.
Well, Zach, what thing? The real question I'm going to ask you is what thing that the viewers should go watch after enjoying this video.
They should go watch our 10 live action films that define us.
Okay.
I was looking back at our series. We have these series of videos we did where we have things that define us. We did shows, live action shows, animated films, live action films, video games, and they're a lot of fun. So basically, we have to assemble. For this one, it was live action movies that kind of make or like compose the makeup of like what we of us and our movie loving experience. So it's a fun little thing we did. Check them out.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the 2023, an even better top 10 for both of us next time.
I hope so. There's a lot of games that I'm looking forward to that are coming out this year. So
could be some
Zelda,
heavy
man.
hitters, some contenders.
And Zelda, Final Fantasy 16. Like this is gonna be my year, man. Resident
Sonic
Evil 4
Frontiers. We're gonna play it.
Well, we're gonna play it this year. We will play it this year. That's a promise. You heard it here first.
Game of the year.
Probably not, but hey, maybe it'll make our top 10. Who knows? Maybe I won't get around. No, that's not true. I was about to say maybe I won't get around to playing Zelda this year, but I was like, that's a lie. I'm gonna play the Zelda this year. I'm gonna play Final Fantasy this year too. So.
Also on the cusp, Bowser's Fury. I just kind of I didn't put it because it was like I played Mario 3D World primarily in different years, so I'm fine leaving that off. But yeah, it's fun too.
But Bowser's Fury was also a treat for sure.
All right, thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, hit the notification bell, and click the link in the description for our social media. All right.
Okay.
Happy New Year.
Happy 2023, everybody.
That's right.